machine.
Are you ready? Okay. Is it going?
Yes.
Okay. So, welcome to the Board of Adjustments meeting for September 16th for the town of St. Paul. At this time, we can go ahead and do another roll call for that matter.
Mr. Simmons.
Here.
Mr. Trevino. Here. Mr. Graham.
Here.
Mr. Swanner.
Here.
Mr. Nail.
Here.
Mr. Dryden's absent.
That is correct. So, this public hearing is to conduct a public hearing and consider case number 09-09-24-01, a variance request from Tracey George concerning Chapter 14 zoning ordinance, Article 6, which is your R1.5 single-family residential district, Section 6.3 area regulations of the town codes. This section requires a minimum lot width of 160 feet at the front street building line. The applicant is requesting a variance of 8 inches, allowing for the current frontage lot width of 159.2 for residential construction. Scott, would you like to give
Just go to the next slide real
Okay.
quick. I'm not going to repeat majority of what you just said, but
Okay.
I'm just going to, staff believes that this hardship is unique to the property due to its size and that it was not self-imposed. Granting the variance would not undermine the purpose of the zoning district or harm the adjacent properties. There was no opposition filed with the town, or there was no one that submitted a letter in favor either. Staff recommends that the ZBOA grant a variance of 8 inches to the required 160 feet of frontage for residential use only.
I'd like to ask for a motion to open the public hearing at this time.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, open the public hearing at this time. The Georges, do y'all have anything y'all would like to comment or say on this variance? I know we've covered it a lot with you, I know that. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. It's just the 8 inches. It's a stumbling block we have right now for anybody that's interested in the land, because they do want to build a home there.
Okay. So anyone else like to comment on this particular variance request? If not, may I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Move to close the public hearing. I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. The public hearing is closed at this time. So the Board of Adjustments can deliberate regarding this variance. If you have anything you'd like to comment on.
The Georges, are they the ones going to be improving on this building?
No, I believe they're getting ready to close on the property here very soon. The homeowner has been in touch with me, or at least the potential buyer. They're actually moving through the planning process currently. They're looking forward to hopefully building on a lot here as soon as possible. Residential.
Is the sale contingent upon this improvement?
I would have to ask the
Yes.
Georges.
Yes. And the plats are from the new owner or from the Georges? So
From us, yeah. It's been in an abstract, and so we've just gone through the plating process. It's with the town of St. Paul right now for review.
Oh, so you're going to plat it as well, correct?
We started the planning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, and I apologize, so you're Tracey George?
Yes, and this
Okay.
is my husband, Dan.
Are you with the Georges as well?
This
I'm
is a
actually
realtor.
representing the one side of the transaction.
Okay. The purchasing side?
Yes.
brought up at one time from one of the past P and Z members that in the past what we've done is we take a lot like this, if it can meet the setback, and they basically, sometimes they wouldn't cut a variance, they tell them to put the house sideways. Problem with yours is your father did such a great job, that's even impossible on that end. So that's why they're here asking for 8 inches to meet the 160-foot regulation to be able to continue to keep it the 1.5 residential.
And I know it's only 8 inches, but it doesn't impose any other jurisdictions, like, by jurisdictions, I mean, what is it, easements, my apologies.
Easements, no. It's right across the street. The lot that's just right across the street where they're doing the construction. It's that pond with the tree.
It's where the church is going to be that he passed last year. The house across the street's next door.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. The empty lot.
Yeah.
So the pond that's on it is not up against the property, it did split 2 different properties, right?
Correct,
It's solely yours.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm looking for this before. Did I miss it?
For the survey,
Yeah, it will. Okay, so that's what I was looking at.
So is this a discussion only, like are we doing any votes?
No, it's an action item as well.
Was that?
Action item.
this
Okay.
is an action item on this one, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, if we're ready, I can.
Okay, do I have a motion to accept the variance on case number 090924-01?
Yeah, I hereby order that this is the motion he has here, so I'm just going to read this. Order the town of St. Paul grant the variance of 8 inches from the required 160 feet of frontage for 2.9463 acre tract of land identified by geographic number ID R 60-64-000-0150-1 for residential use only.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Yay.
Congratulations.
The buyer will be very happy as well.
Increase your tax roll.
Yes. About $2,000.
So the second order of business is 2-2, to conduct a public hearing and consider case number 09-09-24-02, a variance request from Gustavo Martinez concerning Chapter 14 zoning ordinance, Article 16, height and area exceptions and modifications, Section 6-2, front yards of the town codes. This section does not allow for a fence, structure, or planting higher than 3 1/2 feet or 42 inches above the established street grades. The applicant is requesting a variance to allow an additional 7 inches in height, permitting the construction of 2 driveway columns at 49 inches each instead of the maximum allowed height of 42 inches. And staff, would you like to proceed?
Yeah, just go to the next slide, Mayor.
There you go.
I'll just hit the 3 bottom points real quick. Mr. Martinez is requesting the variance for his personal use. As the 49-inch height ensures Mr. Martinez that he'll have a clear line of sight from his truck mirrors when he's backing up his trailers into the driveway. We have received 1 letter of support for the variance and 1 letter in opposition. Staff, in reviewing this case, believes this hardship claimed by Mr. Martinez is self-imposed and is not unique to his property. For these reasons, staff does not recommend granting the variance. However, the ZBOA could recommend that the P&Z review the height regulations in the town code for structures within the front yard.
How does the staff recommend denying?
Yes. You have to, when you're granting a variance, there has to be a hardship. And the state law is very clear in how that should be defined. If it's self-imposed, that's not a hardship.
Correct.
The option you have is that you can go back before P&Z and have P&Z reevaluate the code for the height of the structures in the front yard.
How are we saying it's self-imposed though?
Because he's the one building it.
He's the one building, he's
He
building 2
constructed it.
driveway columns that are exceeding. So you take the George's property, the lot's always been 159.2, even before the zoning. That's not a self-imposed, I mean, that's a regulation that we put on the land that made it difficult for him to develop. This is a regulation that's been there that, he's building the structure, but the regulation had already been in place, so it's self-imposed.
We have to conduct a public hearing on it.
We're going to leave this open. Mr. Martinez could not be here tonight.
Here on his behalf.
You're here on his behalf, correct? So since he was not here, he had contacted Scott and I. And so what we were going to do, he asked to move it to October meeting. And so what we were going to do was just leave that public hearing open
Okay.
until he can be here
Okay.
in October. As far as that goes, I know I've talked with Gustavo several times about this and another item as well. And so it's one of those where I would like for him to be here as well, if that's okay with you.
That's perfectly fine. He wanted to be here, but he didn't know if you guys were gonna be able to move it or not, so he just wanted somebody to be here on his behalf, just in
Correct.
case you weren't able to move it.
Correct. I've already talked with him on whichever way the BOA votes on this issue, what we can do to remedy the situation.
Okay.
And so, but again, we talked about it, since he's not here, he emailed, we're just gonna leave the public hearing open until the October meeting.
Okay,
So, just so you know,
thank you.
okay.
And, did you have a date for that, or just for the October meeting?
What is 14th?
14th.
October 14th.
Okay, thank you.
And we can email him that as well, or he can contact us and we can kind of go from there. So anyway, we can, it's kind of have a motion for a public hearing for anybody else that's out in the audience. I kind of jumped out of that. Do we have a motion
Yeah,
for?
motion to be open for a public hearing.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, public hearing is open. Yes, sir.
Thank you for, as I mentioned earlier in the meeting, his support Gus' decision, his request of the variance. One thing, knowing that where his trucks are, in our neighborhood, our houses could be 30 feet above the grade. So you start going up a driveway, you start losing visibility. I make the turn in my driveway, I can't see my mailbox on my right-hand side. If that's a thing, so it being higher would definitely help him out. I've hit my mailbox and took a mirror out because I couldn't see it. So I think that would be helpful for us. I understand, I'd say there's not a hardship, but if the driveway was flat, it's a non-issue. We will see it, but as you're turning up, if I'm here and I turn my driveway here, I'm already 7 inches above the grade because they're a very steep driveway. You're sledding with ice over. We take cardboard boxes that go down our driveway. That's how 100 feet, you're up 30 feet. So you got about a 30 degree grade there, so it goes up pretty quick. So that's a part of the reason seeing the mirrors and damaging the trucks, and now you have vehicles that don't look good outside, and also safety. I think it look good. That's all.
Okay, thank you.
And where's your address in correlation?
2304 Silver Maple,
Kind
I'm
of across the
Caddy
street.
40 Torrent, so where his house is, you go right across out his driveway, that's where the, I think we call it my rock, we call him Rocky, because people like to hit him. And it's this tall, people still hit that rock.
I see it.
And I face Silver Maple south.
Okay. Thank you. So currently, this is images of the construction being halted?
The construction's been halted for how long? 8 months?
Yeah.
A long time?
Been quite a
Quite
while.
a
Yeah.
bit.
And so, yeah, it's been stopped for a while now.
Sorry, I know this is a public hearing, I just thinking aloud.
Yeah, he's just trying to keep his vehicles out of the ditch. It's kind of a way drop down there.
No, I'm sorry, and are you in relation to,
Just longtime friend, basically his brother, not blood related, but just longtime friend.
we have any more public comments coming?
Can you state your name for the record? Just
Juan Juarez.
I think his application also mentioned that Amazon UPS trucks are frequently using his driveway to turn around and they're rolling off, creating ruts in his yard.
I substantiate that on that little corner. He's had ruts in there. His mailbox was hit by UPS. My next door neighbor, Avala and Jackie, they've had ruts that went 6 feet into the yard from all the different drivers. My rock, I said I had a rock this tall sitting up front. It keeps getting hit. I'm using that to protect my sprinklers, so.
He's kind of on a corner, kind of on a curve, so, but his, once you get past the driveway neck, he has kind of a big driveway, so it makes it very appealing for people to go in there and do a big turn to try to get out. So, but once you're trying to get out, unless you have good visibility, it's easy to kind of fall into the ditch.
Yeah, there's pretty steep culverts there.
How does he know 7 inches is enough?
Because one's built already.
Is what?
One's built already.
And that.
The right side, the left side column's built already.
Okay. I was curious how am I gonna know how high it's gonna be?
It's already, yeah.
I think he went out and measured based on the height.
Well, when he's backing up or driving in, if he doesn't have it there already, it's already built, yeah. Okay.
can I address the public?
So,
No, right at this point, yeah. Is Miss Camille Hampton here?
I'm sorry?
Miss Camille Hampton?
That's next door, as far as that goes. So, I can speak a little more when we get to the deliberation part of it, as far as that goes. So, anybody else in the public want to speak on Mr. Gustavo's driveway columns? At this time, can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
I thought we were gonna leave the hearing open.
Oh, you're right, we are leaving it open. We've got a question mark here, so we can deliberate as far as that goes, so.
Well, do we deliberate now, or do we just go ahead and let this?
Since you're gonna leave it open.
Yeah.
We can do it now or
typically, you
later.
would go back into the hearing on October 14th and close the hearing and then deliberate.
I think. that's-
You want to do it that way? Okay,
That way we're not hashing and rehashing.
okay.
Although the only thing I would say in that is, sorry for the.
No.
Is if we could start getting BOA looking at potentially changing or reassessing the size, as you put it, of how high a column could be. I don't know that we want to change the fences, but columns, we can start that ball rolling. As they're looking at other things, they can look at that. Yep.
So that's considered a structure? No, it wouldn't take effect into this because his application's already in.
Yeah, but hopefully.
Well, and that's the question that I had when I talked to JT this morning was, is a mailbox a structure? Theoretically it is, but if it's not holding up a roof or you can't step inside of it, what is that definition? So again, that's something we can look at and then make a determination later.
Maybe P&Z can help with that.
Correct.
So it wouldn't hurt to get them moving on that too.
So we'd have to leave the public hearing open. Sure, you had something?
Yes, we'll leave it open through the 14th.
I just had a question, if there was any specific reason why it was currently set at that height?
Had a big height, and 3 foot sounded like a good height, and they probably based it off, like you did with your research, other towns and what they had done. Some towns don't allow anything in the front except just the pole mail, or maybe, mailbox, but it has to follow the federal mailbox.
So a lot of it's federal mailboxes are 41 to 45 inches to the bottom of the mailbox. So in a lot of towns, when you have a code enforcement officer that comes around and writes those letters, they want to be able, if somebody put a board-on-board fence or something like that, again, the reason that height is at 42 inches is so your code enforcement guy sitting in a car, back in the day when these ordinances came out, can see over that, it gives him visibility to be able to do his job, which is code enforcement. The other thing is, when a house is located on a corner intersection, again, you want to make sure that you have that visibility through that fence or over that fence so that you don't have traffic problems. And that's where that 42 inches comes in. That's something that we're discussing is that.
That's why I don't think we should have them look at fences, because I think that probably needs to stay where it's at, but maybe columns could be adjusted.
Well, that's correct, because now you talk about, you have state regulation, text stop regulation. Yeah.
So anyway, that's kind of where that comes from,
Okay.
if that helps at all.
Yes.
So IBC, right, International Building Code, right, I think 15 is what we have adopted, which comes directly from Plano. Unless it's something out of that specific specific ordinance has been amended, that's what we have.
Okay.
So, but yeah, at that time, we're gonna leave this meeting open for Gustavo to come in and speak in October.
Thank you.
I think that would be good for him to be here. And so, at this time, we'll just not take a vote on him. You can fill him in, and then we'll see him on October 14th,
That works?
okay? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
So if it's self-imposed, can we legally approve it? It's a question for you,
If
Scott.
someone ever wants, the likelihood of someone challenging it's pretty slim.
Yeah.
If they believe it's not a true hardship, they can challenge it, but you have to go to district court, because
Okay.
you are acting as a judicial body at this point. It is a law, if it's determined that it's not a true hardship.
Is it because we're type A? Or-
No, I mean, whether you're a home rule or a general law city, it doesn't matter. It could be challenged, but that's a lengthy process, the likelihood of that happening is pretty slim. So that's, and I included it in the memo that I provide you. It states very clear in determining what a hardship is, and I included that in the memo I sent to you. And one of them, if it comes across as, if it's self-imposed, that's not considered hardship.
Is there any financial risk to the city, especially since we have insurance? Are we gonna be held liable, or is it just gonna be, he's gotta tear down his mailbox? Like what's the consequence for the city, for the town, if we have to go back?
If it was ever challenged?
Yeah, if we lose.
I've never had this happen in my
Okay.
career, but I would assume, since the Board of Adjustments had made a decision, we would legally be involved, and you'd have to have counsel. TML would probably cover this
Yeah.
one though, because of, there would be considered some losses on this possibly.
Okay.
And TML would jump in.
Do we need to make any adjustments on mailboxes? Since in my research, it starts at 41 inches.
Mhm.
Do we, that's federal.
Mhm.
And so, I know it supersedes, but at the
That's
same
right.
time, if we need to adjust all of this, because this gentleman's matching his mailbox, and so it's kind of one of those where, do we need to make
Well,
an adjustment there?
I had recommended, my alternative, obviously you never want to tell anyone no.
Right,
And believe me, I didn't want to tell Mr. Martinez no. But, based upon my experience, and if you read what the state law is as far as identifying what a hardship was, I couldn't give you a recommendation I wasn't comfortable with.
right.
And I wasn't comfortable telling you that I would support it when I knew it was it's basically a self-imposed hardship. So the alternative is, I could take this back to P&Z, and we can research what alternatives are as far as building structures in the front yard, and come back and amend the code. That could work for Mr. Martinez as well.
But that wouldn't affect him just because it's not currently in place as we speak, right?
Depends on how quick we move on it. I mean, he's been waiting 8 months already.
Right. I think his neighbors are looking for an answer.
I mean, come back and amend it. I'd say November at the latest.
Okay. You might want to talk about it, take a look at that then as well.
I think P&Z needs to have a discussion about what a structure is.
Yeah.
Because,
Define it.
again, go back to your mailbox discussion. There's mailboxes, they're all over the place in height.
Right. Well, and again, if a mailbox by federal standards is above our minimum standards for front yard objects, then that's something, we either need to exclude mailboxes out of that.
Yeah, well, you have to keep in mind, we've been enforcing it already since I've been here, the height regulation on
Correct.
other properties. I mean, we've told one property owner already, you can't exceed
Right, the fence, yep.
the height regulation. Now we're here this evening talking
Again, I
about,
don't want to change the height of the
Yeah.
fence. I'm
Yeah, I
not
agree.
asking for fence.
Yeah.
I'm talking about
Yeah.
columns, and we
Right.
need to define what a column is and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
right,
Okay.
Or how many columns?
Another question. Is this, the height of the column, is that, you mentioned that you adopted it in 2015, basically mirroring what Plano did. is that like a law that's kind of made statewide, these regulations?
IBC is International Building Code, so that would be, is that federal regulation?
No.
No, that's just,
I mean, it's just an international building
It's an
code.
international standard.
yeah.
Because the reason I ask is because I've seen lots of other cities around the area, around basically Collin County area, that have columns taller than 42 inches.
Yeah.
Or 42 inches even.
Right.
So I know it's not something that's statewide, because I've seen it so many other places. So that's why I'm just wondering why it's specifically applicable to this town and not to other towns.
So it might be variant on what IBC code that they've got, and there's definitely updates to the IBC.
So this could be because they're being built on the newer towns, like especially the Salinas and the Prospers, those are very, very common over there.
So normally what happens, if you don't mind, normally what happens is if the town in general, which we did, adopts the 2015 version of the International Building Code, if we do not have an ordinance that we run that would supersede IBC, everything reverts back to that. The way I understand it.
But in this case, we have a specific height.
Yeah, in this case, we have a 42-inch height requirement. So even if IBC said 48, we're at 42, as far as our ordinances go. And so that's what Scott's referencing when staff gives their recommendation is our code. So even though IBC's out there, it's kind of like the law if we don't have anything covering it.
Okay,
If that's probably the best way to explain it,
okay, thank you.
as far as that goes. So any other questions?
That's it for now.
That's it for now. Okay. Do y'all have any more questions y'all like to ask, Larry? No, everything you.
You're gonna take back P and Z to talk about structure, sizing, and.
Yes,
We'll bring it up
definition of
tomorrow.
Structure.
yes.
Okay, we can address some of that tomorrow possibly, so. That'll be the end of the Board of Adjustments meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn the Board of Adjustments meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank y'all very, very